Sure. Okay.
Okay.
Shawn, just to pick up on where we left off. So does Jesus have a human soul or not?
He's fully man and fully divine, so he would have a human soul, yeah.
So would you say if he has a human soul, doesn't that entail a second person?
These are you're going into like
Well, these are real issues,
or whatever.
Shawn. These are the real issues that Christians haven't answered till today. And I'm not talking about, forget the Muslim point of view, right?
Okay, so the Quran says that Jesus is a word of God and a spirit of God and a prophet. No problem. No, it doesn't say created. He just said Jesus is a word, a spirit, and a prophet.
No, but kalimatullah means a created. He's a created word of God.
So his spirit, was it just human? Or was it part divine?
That's what I'm asking you. I'm asking you your position, because for us, we know that Jesus was a human.
I'm telling you, according to Christians, we believe that he was 100% human and 100% divine. Now I'm asking you as a Muslim, when the Quran says that Jesus was a spirit from God and a prophet and a word from God, what was he 100% human? The spirit from God, does it make him the divine? What does that mean?
When it says a word of God, the word is kun fayakun. For instance, in chapter 3, verse 59, it says, "Inna mathala Isa inda Allah kamathali Adam, khalaqahu min turab, thumma qala lahu kun fayakun." Anyway, translation is that the likeness of Jesus is that of Adam. He created them from dust and told him, "Be," and he came to existence. So he's the word of God because he said, "Be," and he came to existence. He's made up of soul and body, which is what I'm asking you. If you believe that he's made up of soul and body, and there was already a logos that existed, that would mean two persons. Let me rephrase the question. In Mark 13:32, it says, "But about that day or hour, no one knows. Not the angels in heaven, not the Son, but only the Father." Who is the subject matter in Mark 13:32 referring to the Son? Is it the human Jesus, or the divine Jesus, meaning the divine Son, the logos?
You said Mark what? I'm sorry?
Yeah, sure. Mark 13:32. "But about that day or hour, no one knows, not the angels in heaven, nor the Son, but only the Father." And what I'm asking is, who is the subject matter in that verse? Is it the human Jesus, or is it the divine Jesus?
Now here's the problem. I don't see it says where it says the human Son, and it doesn't say or the divine Son. It talks about the Son. You're trying to split him up.
No, I'm not.
Which is what these Christian heretics try to do.
Hold on. I'm not trying to split him up. I'm trying to ask what your position is. I'm trying to understand where your position is. What do you believe?
I'm saying I believe that Christ is that same the spirit of Christ, the divinity of Christ, and the man of Christ is echad. That's what I'm saying.
In that verse, it says that
in that verse, yeah. So
the Son is not all-knowing. The Son doesn't know what judgment is. So who is that subject matter? Is it the logos, or is it the human Son? It's a simple question, Shawn.
It says the Son, and it says Christ. However, right? So
who are we referring to? Is this the divine Son or the human Son?
They're both. You're trying to split him. I don't understand. Both? I don't understand the splitting, because we're looking at it two different ways.
Okay, so
when I hear the Son, I hear the divine. And,
These two, you said it's both. Are they mixed or are they separate?
They have to be one.
So you're saying they're mixed?
I'm saying they're one. I don't know what mix is what, right? If me and my wife are one in God's eyes, are we mixed?
I'm asking you, what is your position? Do you believe they're mixed? Because if you say they're mixed, that's a heresy. It's called Eutychianism. So I'm just trying to look. I'm not trying to pigeonhole you. I'm really trying to understand your position, because who is the subject matter of Mark 13:32 and Mark 24:26? It's the same concept, about that day or hour, no one knows, not the Son, not the angels in heaven, not the Son, but only the Father. So who is that Son? Is it the divine Son, the Logos, or is it the human Son? Now, if you say it's both, so then you would have to agree that it includes the Logos, which is the divine Son, and then you would have to logically deduce that the Logos, the divine Son, was not all-knowing.
Now, in that same chapter, he says no one knows the day or the hour or whatever, but he also goes on to explain what the end times would look like. That whole chapter is about it. So it can't be saying that he doesn't know when it is when he's explaining what's going to happen when it happens. They asked him that
There's the
same
paradox.
question.
There's the
They
paradox.
asked him that, but listen, they asked him that same question in Acts. Acts chapter 1, verse 6. And they say, Lord, will you not at this time restore the kingdom of Israel? And he says a different thing to them. He says, and he said to them, it is not for you to know the times or the season which the Father has put in his own authority.
Okay.
So he says, it's not for you to know. And if you go back, he's explained everything that's going to happen in the end times.
So then you would say it's the human son? The human part of the son in that verse?
You're trying to split him.
Well, do you see the paradox though? Because if you say it's both, Shawn, then you would have to agree by logical deduction that the logos is not all-knowing.
Now, and this is again going into words and whatever. When we say no, right? There was when Abraham was going to sacrifice Isaac, God came down to him in the Tanakh and he says, "Now I know that you are that you're faithful," or whatever it was that he said to him after it. But God says, "Now I know." Does that mean that he didn't know?
I'll be fair.
How are the Jews using this word no? How are the Jews using this word no is one thing we have to look at. Obviously, Jesus is not saying, "I don't know."
But what does that have to do? What does that have to do with the subject matter? Okay, let me ask it a different way. I think maybe this was a little bit difficult for you, but let's try to ask it this way. Who died on the cross? Was it the human Jesus or the divine logos, or both?
The human body died on the cross. God cannot die. God is spirit. In Islam, I believe that you guys say God is not spirit, but God is spirit. So when he was on the cross, when he died, that spirit was still God. That spirit did not die. The body died.
So you don't believe the divine? You don't believe the divine died?
I believe Jesus died, of course, but not the spirit of God that's within him that he is didn't die.
But then how can he?
But that's not biblical.
Here's what
the resurrection proves.
How can he redeem human souls? If the divine logos didn't die, how can he redeem human souls?
You gotta let me talk. Humans thought this is a God. This is Jesus who's saying, telling people that he's the Messiah, that him and the Father are one. They kill him. He says, "I'm coming back." Right. So any other normal man would be done. Jesus comes back in 3 days like he said he would, saying that I conquered death. Who conquers death? God. Jesus raised people from the dead. Jesus heals. Jesus forgives sins. Who does these things? God. Jesus is trying to show these humans, I am God, and I paid the price for you in a mortal body, right? It's a whole biblical...
Yeah, let's dig into this a little bit more. Did the Logos and the Son have different wills, or did they have the same will?
Wait, this crossfire thing, is it going to be 10 minutes of you just...
No, you're free to ask questions. You've been asking questions as well. I've been responding back.
Because you're just saying, you're just, again, trying to split Jesus, and I'm telling you, as a Christian, we see it as one. Right? You're not seeing it that way. In order for you to see it that way, you're going to have to actually read the Bible and see...
Do you believe they have one will or two wills?
Does Jesus and God have one will? They have one will, of course.
That's called monotheism, which unfortunately...
I don't know what name you put on it. I don't know what name you put on it.
If you say,
how can God have two different wills?
If you say that they have the same will, that is known as monotheism, which was deemed as a heresy in accordance to the Council of Constantinople, the Third Council of Constantinople in 680 and 681. So that was my point, Shawn. This is why I want to go through this, because no matter which way you go, you're going to fall into a heresy, my friend, or you're going to fall into incoherency.